Hello. Once again, we're here. It's part two of the video, The World is Driven by Fear. More on the subject. I find it very shocking, very shocking to how modern day time fits with the past. Um, I understand, and maybe you too, or you do understand it, that a lot of things that we do, we question. Um, and when the question comes, that's when the most fear arrives. That's when the most, undoubtedly, the most frightening things that you could ever predict happen. That brings about our fear. That brings about our anger and us being driven to the point of exhaustion or even further to that point, just because out of the fear of what you don't want, what you see that grows on people each day, on everyday segments, on things that you understand but you don't quite comprehend. You see that things are very deep in depth, but yet it's a simplicity to it because you have a simplicity to your own self and you understand yourself more than anyone else. That connection, that 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 deep understanding with self is could be the very thing that binds us together in many ways, because everything around us was once a question created to form by individuals' answers. That's our society, that's our way of living, that's the things that we deem correct. So when you see it in someone else's eyes, it's really it's really their perception. The same thing that makes me the same also makes me different. And it's the way I think. It's simple, but yet it's deep in depth because it's the way we see things. It's the way we understand things. It's the thing that gives us clarity about our own selves and everything around us. Because we want to feel or appear that we have everything under control, that everything is all right. But in truth, deep down, you know it's a lie. We fight it all the time. You say, nah, I got this. Only thing you got is your own choices. What you willing to commit. What you willing to go through to seek out your desires. Because the things that you desire that often create your destiny. It's the primitive desires that drive you today in this modern day time. Having a shelter over your head, having water, having food, having something to give your family, to remember, to cherish, and give much insight to. Gives you value, gives you a purpose, gives you something to spend your whole life on. It can give you much clarity. It can give you much it can give you much self-preservation that you could ever imagine. And in that, it gives you some type of truth, your own truth, your perception of what the truth is. That's what binds us, our own truth, our own perception. Observe, identify, question, detail, and then we create our answers. So deep in depth. But our very answers, our very perceptions, the very perception, the way you perceive something, the way you see something could be the fact of what is the conflict to this modern day time. Why are we so much in conflict? The reason is it lies within what we see, what we perceive, what we understand. It's a perception, and we enforce a perception because we are in fear. To say someone's black instead of human, to say someone's white instead of human, it's deep in depth. But it's complicated because we see it as complicated because we see someone as different, but we all the same. Observe, identify, question, detail, and then we create our answers. It's the same shit over and over again. Balance, choice, cycle, probability, and time. That's what life goes by. Every day, throughout your day, I can name your whole day. How most of the day you spent it. You woke up. Because you woke up. You may not got everything you wanted, but you woke up. You got what you wanted. At a certain extent. At a certain point, you got what you wanted. Like night and day, the balance of it. Like night and day. You over time, you see it over and over again. But something drives you to say, this is it. This isn't the way anymore, because you find that someone has a different way, and you question your way sometimes, and it angers you that you question because you compare yourself and say, damn, I gotta be better, I gotta be greater. But in fact, sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you gotta be greater to accept yourself. Greatness is not, nor will it ever be, about just physicality. It will always be what's mentally done in the situation, what's mentally thought about in the situation. That's what's really appreciated. Both physical and mental, the balance of all things. The Civil Rights Acts didn't really matter until someone spoke about it. Someone created a voice. It could have been MLK. Could have been MLK. Malcolm X. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Could have been MLK, Malcolm X. Could have been anybody. But it was a voice. It's something that created the balance. Something that people wanted to say all this time. All this time. From all the pressure and all the scrutiny. It builds up. The balance of all things. We create the balance just by simply identifying someone as being different. That's how you create the balance, bro. You create it by just seeing someone as different. Do you understand? Real shit. You create it by someone that you see is different. You know what I'm saying? You observe, you identify how your homies living, how what your people do. It don't matter who you is. You could be a gangster, a middle class worker, a low class worker, living in Section 8. You could be living in the highest class. It's the same shit. It may be greater probability. It may give you the thing that you wanted, the thing that you want, But it doesn't necessarily mean that you ain't stuck on the balance where you can't fall to that position where you're in a bad position. It's the same shit all the way around. We just identify ourselves of being different, so we seek to be greater. Because we compare ourselves. We make comparisons. That's what we do over and over again. Think about it. Social media. What do? You compare yourself. You compare yourself to what someone else is doing. And for that, you grow envy. You have envy over. It creates envy. Real. It creates envy, dog. You may not even catch on to it. Yeah, man. It creates envy. Real. Real. So it creates envy. People have hatred amongst you because they deem it to be right. They deem being superior as right. Superiority is nothing but of the mind. It is what you see as what's superior. Because the only thing that's superior, truthfully, is the balance. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that's superior, truthfully, is the balance. You have God and you have the devil. You have Jesus and you have demons. You have angels and you have demons. You know what I'm saying? It's the same ish. It's the same ish. It's the balance. You know what I'm saying? You can have everything controlled. You could have everything on a base, on a even scale level, and something in probability will go wrong if you do not properly identify something thoroughly throughout great thought, throughout slow process thought. You will never truly get to a position where you get what you want. It's deeper in depth than you could possibly imagine, yet it's simple as you could possibly do. Bless up.